Okay, then we go into the D portion of the song. The portion of the song that's in the key of D.
Stuff like that and how fast them trucks will go. There's a little old place on I-76 where a lot of them drivers stop and get...
Okay, before I teach you how to play these parts, I want to tell you about some things that we're going to be doing in this section. Just so you know where it's going and what the foundation is for what we're doing. So there's a lot of times in playing steel guitar that you're going to slide from one chord to the same chord somewhere else. And then even to the same chord again somewhere else. And then to the same chord again somewhere else. You'll do those kind of things a lot. You might not go up, you might slide down. You know we have a D on the 5th fret with our pedals down. And I'm playing strings 4, 5, and 6. I can slide up to the 10th fret where I have another D with my pedals up. And while I'm making the slide, I come off of the pedals. I can do the same thing backwards. And we're going to do that in this section too. So there's one thing I can do. I can slide from one to another. Let me show you another position that you haven't used yet, I don't think. And that is if we're D chord with the pedals up, no pedals, up on the we're on the 10th fret. So on the 13th fret, you can engage the A pedal and your knee lever that raises your E's. And that's a D chord right there. So I can go from D to another D right there. If I wanted to, I could go clear back up to the 17th fret and get the same D again with my pedals down. So I can have all of this without even changing chords and without picking at all, if you're smooth about it. You just have to do your knee lever and pedal configurations during the slide. So you just have to get used to it, and you have to get good at making those decisively and, so that you can't really hear it by the time you get to it. Okay? By the time you get to that fret, you shouldn't hear the knee levers or the pedals changing unless you want to, in the case of here. Like if I do that, then I want to hear that note bend after I've already got there. Okay, so we'll listen to that section and let's think about what I just said here.
The kicks. Right. There's a little old place where a lot of them, place on I-76 where a lot of them drivers stop.
So we're at about 45 seconds into the song, and the first lick that's going on behind the vocals is D to D, and then just pedal into the G chord. So it starts on the 5th fret, strings 4, 5, and 6, D, D, and then just put your pedals down for the G. Now the next lick that he's going to do right after this is going to go from the G to the D chord that I told you about on the 13th fret. So he's going to go, and then he's going to come back from the 13th fret back to the 12th fret for the A chord. So this takes some footwork to get this smooth, but it should sound like this. So I'm at G on the 10th fret, pedals down, and to a D, and that's just the A pedal and the F knee lever. And then I'm going to, without picking again, I'm just going to come back to the 12th fret and change back into that pedals down configuration. Let off of the F knee lever and rock into the A pedal like doing a pedal squeeze. So again, it's... You don't have to do a pedal squeeze if you don't want. You can just do... And there was no pedal squeeze, but you have to get from one pedal and knee lever configuration to the next very quickly. And then he's going to do the little drop after he talks about flow, and that little drop is strings 4, 5, and 6 on the 10th fret on a D chord with no pedals, and do your little bomb drop and really milk that thing. And you're going to go down to the 5th fret where you'll have another D with your pedals down. So sounds like that. And if you really milk it, you get that almost train whistle or truck going by kind of sound. Let's listen to the whole thing.
Get their kicks. Reckless eyeball, just wait till they got.
Back it up.
There's a little old place on I-76 where a lot of them drivers stop and get their kicks. Reckless eyeball, just wait till they got called slow. Now there's always a bunch in there hanging out and just cutting up and talking about how she wiggles when she walks and stuff like that and how fast them trucks will go. It's a wonder a fella could...
Okay, so let's just go through that whole part one more time. It goes, I don't know the words, so I'm just going to play the licks. Okay, then it goes into the second part of that verse, and the first thing he's going to do is play a D chord on the 5th fret, and then he's going to go to the 3rd fret. He's going to get from a D to a G, but he's going to stop off at a C chord in the middle. Sounds a little bit different than the other things have sounded. It'll sound like this. So he's at D, C, stay the pedals down, and then let off to get to the G. The next lick, I'll go ahead and play that in context, just so you can hear where it's at.
Cutting up and slow. Now there's always a bunch in there hanging out, just cutting up and talking about how she wiggles when she walks and stuff like that, and how fast them trucks will go. It's a wonder if...
Okay, so he goes D, C, G. So if you think about your G chord with no pedals, your next G up the neck is 3 frets up with your A and F knee lever. So on the 6th fret, that's a G chord with the A and F knee lever, no B pedal. A pedal and F knee lever. And he's going to do that combination. I think he's just picking strings 5 and 6 when he does that, though. And then he goes back to A with no pedals. So G, G, A, using that combination. And you don't even have, if you're only going to play strings 5 and 6, technically you don't even have to use the knee lever, but I always do, because it makes it so that I can play other notes in there if I want to. So even though there's no, if I use 5 and 6, I can just play the A pedal, that's it. But I'll do the exact same thing, and I might play a full chord like this. Or like this. And anytime you do that, you have to use that knee lever. So it's a good idea to always just make that combination go together, even if that's not sounding. There's times where you'll see me having my B pedal down when I'm not really playing a string that the B pedal even affects. But I'm doing that because I'm playing out of that chord position, and I'm just keeping my brain doing that, just getting that habit. Don't try to cut corners, because it will come back to make you have to work harder later. Okay? So I think it's on strings just 5 and 6. He's going G, G, A, and then he plays a D chord, and he plays something like, or that's the last lick he plays. And this is a D chord, and on strings 4 and 5. And I'm just coming off the A pedal, and then back into the A pedal, playing strings 5 and 6. I'm using these 2 fingers for that. When I go down there, my little finger is kind of muting the strings 4, string 4. When I go to play again, I'm getting muting from that, so that 4 doesn't sound out. Although it's in the chord and it wouldn't sound bad if it did, but just a good. Okay, so once again, the whole thing. Okay, that's the D part.